Yum, 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 yum. Oh, shit. Is this thing on? Yeah, let me take my drugs first. Take my Flintstones Complete Multivitamins and Mineral for kids. Yum, yum, yum. Okay. Alright, I'm gonna start off with anatomy because I've kinda... it's been a while since we practiced just anatomy. We might go back to just a period of doing studies and like really boring stuff for a bit. Just because it's good to do it. And it's kind of hard to do it. So like, it's the best time to slot in when you feel like you can do it. You just keep going and then do it. And then at some point, you get bored of it, you go back to doing something else. So I'm gonna slot this in as much as I can, I think. If I can. Just brain dead. Autopilot. Move your hands kind of situation here. Oh, I'm lagging. Why am I lagging? Oh, let me check my task manager. Firefox is eating up 4 gigs of memory. What the... Let me stop this. Does that help? Not really. Anyways, let me nuke Steam then. I don't need Steam. Ooh. I don't need Steam. I don't need Adobe Acrobat collaboration synchronization. What the hell is this? Oh man. Quit that. What else can I quit? Oh my god, Duvet, you're really early this time. The Whiplash. But now it's as good as the time as any. It's pretty good. Manda Embs. Wait, I can't click. Okay. Let's see, do they have a Twitter? They do not. They do have a link tree. Twitter. Oh, dang. I see, I see. She used The Sims? Oh, that's what that is? I thought it's her own room. Never played The Sims. I see Elf, I see a dude. I think Link. Not sure if accurate. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't have any strong opinions at this point. Oops. I think mostly I'm just looking at the rendering still. I haven't really, well, we haven't really progressed off this part yet. Oh, but I do see something really useful. I think primarily with like the way they use like the black, or rather like, you know, what's equivalent of the black for each illustration for shadows, I think. Because like the one where I do with the sketchy thingy, this thing, is I'm always very confused what I want to use the shadows for. I think... Oh, is this thing in the way? It is, yeah. I do feel like this might be a good set of references for that. Like stuff like that. I'm just looking for more of those. Because the coloring primarily seems to be more flat, at least for the webcomic, which makes a lot more sense. Oh, anyways, thank you, Debate. Also, I just remember I need to send this to the Discord. Yeah, I made a thread just for your dailies under the R resources chat. If you look for the threads under that chat, you should see it. I'm gonna just hold on to this real quick. Yeah, my instinct for this is just, I think wherever that I can put it in without making it too dark, but have enough to just show the form, and then stuff like ambient occlusion, and then stuff like anything that's on the other plane. The lighting, yeah, has to be very strong from one side on the front, because otherwise everything will be too dark, I think. It'll be too hard to use. But actually now that we're here, I kind of want to check this. Oh, I didn't line this up properly, actually. But I feel like this part should have been a little bit like that. So there's a bit straighter. Otherwise the bias is a bit too strong here. Well, this all kind of works, I suppose. Guess I gotta at least fix this part. It is. I spoke to the creator, and then I got some feedback. So I'm going to be making some changes. Oh, what the? Wrong layer. Hello. Primarily, I think there's one very, very good point, is that because I changed the colors on the logos, I think he said to check with the terms of use of those brand logos, because otherwise it constitutes as a copyright infringement. And I think that is a really great suggestion, because I would not have thought about that. And then beyond that, there's some other stylistic preferences, like wanting to make the character a little bit bigger. I think that part might be a bit hard, specifically, just because we do have a bit of a text, like a pixelation issue if we do start to resize things. Terms of service, POS. Because like a brand, you know, is not just the design, but also like the logos, sorry, and also the colors, right? The brand colors. So changing any bit of the thing, even if it's just swapping the color out for a very obvious stylistic choice in terms of color palette, right? To fit better into the entire theme of the poster's color, I think even that would still constitutes as grounds for copyright infringement, because you are basically changing the brand's identity, and they can treat you as like a separate entity and then sue you for using their design as though as you were trying to copy their brand or something like that. So, you know, like the whole problem that we had yesterday with where to position the whole logo and stuff, which I don't think you're necessarily there for, Dubé. I'm not sure if you know what I'm talking about, but I wasn't sure if where I wanted to put all the logos and stuff, because the text was so long. But now that we're here, then really it's just more of a matter of where we're gonna put the text now. And without the logo, it might be a little bit easier and to manage and find a spot there. So it's actually a blessing in disguise, I think. We have to see. Other than that, he was giving suggestions on like maybe we can try different fonts for the left side, just because left side we had a lot of text. But he's thinking that having maybe a lot of text itself can have effect of showing that, hey, you know, it's very global. There's a lot of different languages and different people here. Something like that. I think it might be a little bit too disruptive to the cohesiveness of the entirety of the design. I can give it a try. And then there's also changing some text to hiragana, changing oh, apparently the character is wearing tights. Like her legs are not exposed. It's not meant to be skinned there. I did not notice that at all. He almost forgot as well, which is kind of interesting. But yeah, apparently she's wearing tights, like white tights, and then the skin color was just so bright and like desaturated that I didn't notice that it was a different shade of white. And I double checked when he mentioned it, and yeah, it does appear that she is wearing white tights. Knee-highs, tights. So I don't know what the difference is. But yeah, so we just need to change the color. But it would change the overall balance of the thing though. So I'm hoping that it doesn't break anything. But yeah, other than that, I'll probably make the changes off stream here. And he would prefer if it's possible, you know, for me to post it when it's time for the character to be released. Which I don't mind, I don't really care. That makes no difference to me. If he can give me the date, which is not yet settled, but whenever he gives me the date, I can just put a scheduled tweet in, and then I don't have to remember it, and just keep going. And just go by itself, which is very cool. Oh my god. Legs, damn legs. I always make the hips too small. Then I'll draw the legs too long or big. I don't know how I manage that, but very cool. I just want to do some brain dead sketching here. Actually, I just realized I'm drawing kind of small. Oh, sorry, it's kind of big for myself. Yeah, I'm not scaling things first. That's alright then. The rehabilitation, man. I haven't drawn stuff like this for a while, I think. Quite a while, I think. Almost a month, perhaps. Anyway, so I'm gonna go back to something a little bit more calming here. Maybe not this. Uh-oh. Did I click something I shouldn't have? I did, okay. Hello, G-Talk. Oh. Yeah, his body is a bit stretched, but it's fine. Where is this? Wait, what? Didn't I have another Pinterest link open? Anyways, not important, I guess. Stand by, please. Over. I'm gonna operate a little bit thicker here, just so that it's a bit easier. I mean the lines, not the legs. I think I should probably also try attempting drawing stuff backwards from the reference, because then it forces you to think about all the angles and stuff, like how it's actually turned in 3D space. Otherwise, you can't really translate it over. But I specifically want to go for autopilot today, so I'm not going to do that. Autopilot's kind of interesting, I think. It helps you check your inherent biases. That's alright. Oh, look at that. Yeah, look at that. Maybe not a bad idea to follow the exaggerated proportions. Might help with a little bit more of the understanding and remembering. What am I bumping here? So you're going to so it's the bone and then the set and then the notes, right? Yeah, this one should be. Yeah, maybe it's a bit too much. It's okay. I wonder. It doesn't matter. Where's this? Yeah, I'll be right back. Oh, we haven't been back here in a while. Wait, was I drawing backwards the whole time? Yes, happy Thanksgiving to you too. Oh man, it's hard to draw. Hello, George. Today I'm just sketching. I think I will do some color roughs later. You mean like just a value study? I think I'm trying to understand the question behind the question, because the question for the answer to how to study grayscale is you just paint in black and white. But I'm guessing, like, how do I say this? I think maybe you're asking about the approach. So like, right, yeah, actually that makes more sense. Anyways, so what, with a given color thing or whatever reference that you have, I think at one glance, I'll try and get a feel for what I think is the brightest and what I think is the darkest. And then maybe find one somewhere in the middle. I don't know where to start actually, I'm not 100% sure. What I'm trying to say is I would start off with 150% gray. Sorry, let me rephrase. I think I will just find two values first. One a brighter value and a darker value, and then I'll split everything on the ref to either the darker or the brighter. And then from there, as I'm painting, I will notice that hey, some of the stuff that I'm making, grouping into the brighter value, for example, is actually brighter than some of the other values in there. Then maybe later on I will get an even brighter value and split that to that value, if you know what I mean. So basically you're just slowly breaking out more and more values out, but then you start off with 2 and then you add 1 and then you add another. I don't know if this is making any sense. Yeah, I actually just turned off my brain as I was sketching the whole time, so I think I'm very incoherent at this point in time. I guess just do an example. I think might be easier. You guys are watching me start my brain in real time here, but like for example, this thing here, this rev here, right? Like you have. Actually, this one is kind of hard to see, but I guess maybe that's why it might be a good example. But like, also just to preface this, I'm not very proficient at doing this for sure. But then let's just say we start off with this, right? You can clearly see light sources from the sky, and then from the fire, and then you can also clearly see objects that have a brighter local color, right? The white cap, the scarf, the pants, the snow, against the darker coat and whatever the hell that is in the back. So logically speaking, like if I only have two values that I'm going to break, like let's say we want to convert this reference to just two values, right? Then logically speaking, it would make sense to just group all the brighter colors, either because if it's the local color that's brighter, or if it's because it's in the lighting, right? Into the brighter one that we're gonna choose, and then we take whatever else and leave it in the darker one, right? So if we have just a canvas, let's say everything is, let's say this is our so-called bright value here. And then the other value, let's say is here, 25 or something. Then it will make a lot of sense for us to just paint the darker stuff. So in this case, it would be the bridge in the back. And then the body for the coat here. And then we have like the darker snow here perhaps, and then the darker boots, and then the darker campfire thingy, the kneecaps, the knee guards, or whatever the hell it's called. Right? And then for this part, we will have the face here, along with the scarf, as well as the cap. Right, so you now, let's say that this is a little bit more polished than this, right? Let's say you spend a little bit more time on this, and now it's like this. Then from now on, you just kind of sort of find even darker stuff within the darker groups. So like within this darker group, I guess it's probably best to keep everything in the same value first. But because I'm using this brush, it's kind of a little bit janky. But within this darker group, there's some darker stuff like here in the back. So you can bring some of the other parts a little bit brighter. And then you just go down the line like this. Hello, circle. And then personally, like I don't have a very strict sort of workflow. Like once like my brain is either paint or it's going to be clean. If it's going to be clean, then I will never even approach it from this direction in the first place. It's going to be locked into one color, one layer thing, and then essentially we'll go from there. But once I start painting, then it's just, oh, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna zoom out, I'm gonna zoom this out, and I'm gonna squint my eyes, and I'm just gonna see, hey, what value doesn't really make sense at this point? Oh yeah, the cap is too wide, you know, let's bring that down a bit. The back is not dark enough, let's bring that down some more. And then you just slowly go down the line. At this point, you're just relying on your own sort of how you feel about it, like you're kind of like your instincts. You just kind of be like, oh, this part looks a bit brighter, let's go for it. This part looks a bit darker, let's go for it. And then over time, that instinct is gonna get refined. You're gonna get very accurate with it. You're gonna be like, oh yeah, I think it's lower by just a little bit, right? Something. Yeah, this is Dino's most recent work. I was gonna try and take a look at the hair shapes, right? Because even if I understand some of the colors and stuff, we still have the shape. Anyways, I wasn't really thinking too hard about what we're doing today. I've just been sketching a lot of random shit. Primarily try to target some of the weaker stuff, you know, like legs and hips, and also feet. But anyways, yeah, going back to this group. Two color line that first try to dissect area into more or less parts to get hang of it. Is that what you mean? Personally, that's how I am approaching. If you remember some of the stuff that we did before, let me open it up real quick. So if you remember, like, I don't know, like 100 streams ago, we were doing some value studies, specifically for some of the complex stuff that Min did. Gee, is this the right canvas? Oh, it's over here. Like, we did some black and white stuff for these guys, right? And that was how I approached these guys. And I don't know if there's a better method, because I've never seen other people, I've never watched other people talk about their process, almost ever. So all my stuff is just stuff that kind of makes sense to me, like the most logical way that I would approach it. And in doing so, I think that it was alright. It was alright. Like, I was how do I say this? I don't know if I necessarily took anything away value-wise. I know I did some numbers here and there. Actually, this doesn't have the stuff that I'm looking for. Where's the stuff that I'm looking for? I know I didn't exactly take away anything specifically in that regard, but what I learned was that I'm actually able to sort of see down to a point where I am like, oh yeah, you know, this is just a little bit off, and that's just a little bit off. So maybe it's a good practice to calibrate, if like, to see if you can spot some of the minor value differences and see if you can bring everything into like the correct range. But as for whether if you're gonna learn something from just doing that, I think it's hard to say. I think you should. Like, logically, it will make sense to me that you would, right? Because if you're touching it all day, day in, day out, you're following, you're doing this sort of practice with an artist that you like, whose art that you like. Then what it's really gonna do is to train your senses to sort of calibrate it towards this artist that you're studying. Because the next time you're painting something, you will feel like, hey, this is a little bit like, I'm not sure about the value difference here, right? And then you will suddenly remember this study that you did, and you're like, oh, you know what? I remember in this other study when we did for that artist that I like, there was this one time where I made it a little bit less contrasty, but then it's actually more contrasty. And then now you have this experience to draw from, and you're like, oh yeah, you know what? In this situation, I'm kind of getting the same vibes as what I got before. Maybe it needs a little bit more contrast. And then now you can bring in some of the stuff that you learned. This is how I think it would work. Naturally, I think I haven't done enough like full-on illustration stuff like this for me to really experience that for myself. So it's kind of hard to know for a fact that that is going to be what's going to happen. But I think that's how it's going to work. Is that, you know, you do enough times that at some point in time, you look, like, let's say right now, like, if I look at this, there's a lot of stuff that doesn't make a lot of sense to me inherently. I have to look and see, oh, you know, the leg has like 1, 2, 3 values. But then if you guys so used to this artist's like style and like the way that they do colors, maybe down the line, 10 pieces down the line, you take a look at this and like, oh yeah, okay, you know what? I don't have to look at this again. I know immediately that he at least has 3 different values here. And then you can basically also bring that idea into your own illustration. But at some point, it becomes so automatic that it just starts to make sense. It's kind of like when you're doing sketches as well. Like some of the sketches for like anatomy in the beginning, I'm sure you should be able to relate to this, is that you don't know how wide or long or like what the proportion of the torso, for example, is. But if you have done enough, at some point you will look at one thing that you have done and you'll be like, oh yeah, it's kind of long. Let me make it a little bit like shorter, you know. I think it's just gonna be like that. So I think personally for me, I don't know any process necessarily that's 100% going to work. But at the same time, I just feel like if you've done enough, it's just all going to make sense at the end. So I wouldn't treat what I'm saying here as like the gospel. I don't think it's necessarily the best way to do it. But it would be how I do it. And then I would just I don't know, keep at it until I get good, I guess. Because either I feel the effects of it or I get too impatient and then I try to change up the process. But either way, I guess as long as you're drawing, at some point you're gonna go somewhere, I hope. That's my entire game plan here. I hope that, I mean, I believe that at some point it's gonna go somewhere. It's like, cause like, yeah, I don't think you have to worry too much about the process necessarily. Like if you try it, George, like if you try your own method, for example, and you feel like it's really hard to get things correct, or like it's really hard to see certain values, then I think that's where you can get some advice with your own process, perhaps. But I don't think there's anything inherently correct, like 100% correct, or like 100% more efficient than something else. As long as the end result that you have is something that you can get really close to the original, I think that it then makes it a really effective and good practice. Because that means you have gone through all the really difficult bits of making sure all the minute things are correct and everything, and that trains your observation and everything just carries forwards. That way, I think. That's what I like to believe in. Going back to my own sketching experience as well, it's not like I ever really practiced properly some of the stuff. I did a lot of anatomy stuff, but then there's also a lot of other stuff that we didn't necessarily practice. And over like the years of like, okay, this is, I need to group this a little bit, it's getting too big. It's just, I guess, drawing a lot, I think. Anyways, rambling again, but good luck, George. Yeah. It's kind of bad that I don't have anything that I can 100% say that is a good way of doing things. And maybe that's for the better, since everyone is different. But like, I still feel like I lack a bit of conviction behind my words, and I don't like that. But it is what it is. Very big head. Oh my god. Anyway, circle. Oh yeah, it looks really good. They look really good. They don't look like they belong to this bracket of 1.7 thousand followers. Look at that. Very clean, very polished. A lot of small, consecutive, smooth lines. Neo Academy? Are they Korean? Are they Korean or something? Did I see something in Korean? Maybe not related. This one? Oh, like the perspective? Because up close on the shoes. I actually find it kind of hard to see. I can't read this image very well. Like I can see a face, I can maybe see a shoe, but like how do I say this? I think if I zoom out on this, I probably can't really see anything. Like I can't read what's happening in the picture that well, I feel like. Maybe it's just the way it is. I'm not sure. Yeah, I can't quite put it into words. I feel like there's just too many small shapes everywhere. There's no like very good resting point. Other than like the white space outside. I feel like my eyes are drifting away from the character. Because like the quiet places is where I want to rest, I think. Yeah, but I think that's still very early for me. At some point, I need to get through with all the colors and all the shapes and stuff before I can start talking about comps, I think. I don't have enough stuff to work with at this point. Anyways, I just wanted to get some hair shapes here. Kind of nice to not think and just let your hands do the work. I mean, if you want to copy, it's up to you. I just don't think it's necessarily a great idea. Like you should just, yeah, like you said, put your own twist. Go with the path that you feel is the most natural to you. And I think at the end of the day, you know, again, like whatever makes you draw more is the correct answer. Is the most efficient way. Draw more at the moment too. It's not even like, oh, I need to stay consistent necessarily with my methods. I think there are certain things that you should stay consistent with, like using how you use a certain set of guidelines. But then in terms of like how to approach something or what to draw, subject matter and stuff, I think yeah, it's like whatever that you feel like in the moment would probably be the best. I don't know what I want. I want to create something, but I don't feel like there's anything I want to invest my time into. I'm gonna go clean up my own character's ref this weekend, I think, and then I can bring her in. And then got no feedback from the artist. I sent an email reminder yesterday. Then what else? A poster needs some updates, but then I also won't be posting it until he is ready to release the avatar. Because I got a chance to talk to him today. It is interesting though, like talking to him. So I foresee this happening is that, let's say you commission someone for work, right? Like they necessarily will be different from you, you know, because they have their own taste, they have their own preferences. And it's the same thing in reverse as well. Like if a client commissioned you for something and then you draw something, it's not like they're not gonna like 100% everything, right? That's for sure. So in a normal commission environment, I don't know how it is like because I don't have a lot of experience with this, obviously. But I imagine that like the VGen method, or like the sketchbook method rather, the skep method, is that they ask you to draw something, you draw it, and that's it. That's the end of it. They don't get to make give any feedback or ask for any changes, and then what you do is what you do. And if people have the expectation, then they will happily accept it. But then if there is an opportunity for people to give feedback, then that's where the complication comes, because now you have a problem with expectation. So let's say you get someone to draw for you, they give it back to you, you send them some feedback with regards to what you like to have changed. Now there's an expectation of from yourself on what's going to come back next, right? And I think that part is the tricky part, because if they are the ones drawing, they will have some preferences for certain shapes, certain designs, certain composition ideas, and that may not be what you want. Some of these feedback might be related to this. And then now should the artist betray their own sort of preferences in order to make it look exactly like what the client wanted, like talked about? Or should the artist then still keep to their own style because that's what they're there for, right? Like that's what people go to them for. And I'm in kind of a similar boat, because in the original idea where we just do a quick fan art kind of situation, they are probably gonna just take whatever that we give them. But then because I started this conversation of, hey, do you have anything you would like changed? Now there's a bunch of requests coming in, and some of these requests would fit into the comp that I currently have. Some of them might not. A good example, there are two good examples. One of them is that he requested for the character to be bigger on the canvas, and this is now a balance, just a matter of taste, right? He would like it to be bigger. I like it to be like the way it is right now. So should I change it and make it better, or should I not? And because no money is being exchanged, it's not like he gets to just like say whatever and I have to do it. So there's no money exchange here. And then the other thing is, he was talking about how the text on the left side can be, I should have just brought this up, but the text on this left side here is a bunch of menus and stuff, right? That's open. He's saying that if the font were different or if the language was different for each one of these, it might be an interesting idea that introduces, like for example, bring in the idea and the concept of international, like globalization. I don't know what's a good word here, but like the idea of like that VR chat is open on the internet and anyone can be there, and any number of different people from different cultural backgrounds and different walks of life can use this avatar, and therefore you have different languages and different fonts to signify all these different, the diversity that can go in behind this character. And that is fine and all, but if you consider the fact that like this is meant to be like a website kind of design, if you change the font to something that diverse in one area, it's going to introduce a lot of noise in the area, a lot of contrast. Against the idea of the contrast is where people will look, right? So would I want to do that? Like, currently I'm not 100% sure, but in talking about it, I realized that I do have a stack of kawaii over here. Maybe I can just change this part to just be different languages, and that would be that. And maybe keep some of the bigger menu icons consistent so that it stays consistent with the entire structure of the design. But yeah, anyways, it's interesting. I'm bringing this up because it's a very new experience for me. Not just in this poster looking thing, but also in this whole sort of conversation of with the person that is creating, like in a sense requesting, and then me as the person that's creating. But yeah, like some of the feedbacks that he gave was what I just mentioned there, the character being slightly bigger. This star here having a little bit of a yellow tint. So this yellow tint at the bottom here, it's just like green here, but it's, you know, yellow light, right? That wasn't created because I noticed that the character has that feature, but apparently the character, when they move, it kind of has these stars that appears, and they kind of go, I believe they were green, and sorry, I believe they were yellow, and no green was involved. I just used green here just because we were trying to keep the palette under control here, but he's suggesting that maybe we can make it, oh well, he's requesting that maybe we can make it a little bit yellow, like gradient on it. I am not sure if I want to do a gradient or if I want to do like different yellow stars around it so that we can keep things, because gradient tends to have the effect of softening stuff, and I don't want everything to be soft here, right? There are certain things that needs to be hard edged and just need to pop, and I don't know what it will look like if I do sort of remove it, but adding more stars might be noisier, so that's that. The other thing was he was suggesting using a hiragana for this. The reason I use English was because we were trying to keep everything in English characters, Latin characters. But I thought about it, and you know, if this is in Japanese anyways, so the only people that can read it will be people who can read Japanese. So changing it to hiragana actually doesn't remove readability in this case. And he was saying that, hey, Japanese characters kind of round, kind of squiggly, a little bit cuter than English characters, don't you think? So I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. I can do that. Doesn't make too much of a difference for me on this side. And then he's also this is a really good point, by the way, because I use this without really thinking about it, but the logos for all these brands has terms of service tied to them. It's not as simple as just taking it and doing whatever you want with it. And this is my bad on my part, but this is clearly a lack of experience. But he is saying that if you're using the logos, please make sure that you're using it according to the terms of service. And while I couldn't find one for Booth, on Twitter there is, usually they have like these brands, big companies, they kind of have like this media package where they will provide the logos, they will provide these tags, but then they will also come with like a terms of service that says how you're allowed to use it. And specifically for Twitter, for X, you're only allowed to use the original set of colors, the blue and white, which is the old Twitter color, or black, which is the new X color. So, you know, like Booth has, I didn't really find anything specific for Booth, but because these are brand related, it's probably best to then just not use it or use it in its original form. But obviously using it in its original form means that we have to keep the original colors and certain designs. Like for example, we wouldn't be able to have these beveled edges, right? So then the better way is to just remove the logo, because it's not necessarily that important, right? And then actually that is actually good for us, because without the logo, the text just exists as text now, and I can move the text a little bit more freely if it doesn't have the logo. So you know, good and bad stuff, right? And then finally, I think that this is the trickiest thing of all, is that he provided a logo for me to use, and this one is tricky, and primarily is for color reasons, right? You can see that there are kind of similar colors, right? You have the green, you have the maroon, like pink magenta thing, and then you have this slightly yellowish tint hue on this. However, it's nothing as bright and nothing as cheerful as what we have. I don't know if it's okay with us changing the color here, but I think at the very least I do have to make the colors a bit brighter to fit. And then I might knock this out then. I don't know where would be a good place to put the logo. Maybe I can put it here, but I don't know if it'll be like square, 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 like a 4 corners. Might be a little bit weird. So we'll see. And then the last thing, oh, I forgot about this. But apparently the legs are not exposed like this. There is an option to do so, but apparently the legs are not exposed. And it's just that in the original, the the skin color was so bright. The skin color was so bright that it looks like this is just exposed legs, but these are not. These are apparently white tights. I don't know what the difference is. I think knee highs only go up to here, like knee high socks or something. So tights, I guess, goes all the way up. So yeah, this has to be white. Like I mean, like, that's a big mistake, right? That is a big thing that we have to fix. The good thing for us is that it most likely isn't going to be too hard to fix, right? Because I have everything on separate layers. That's a good thing about not having this painterly style. I can make it work really, I can change it really quickly. But the balance of colors, I wonder how that's going to go. I don't think it'd be too bad just because it is white, but yeah, you know, like stuff like this here, these white lines eating into this, some of these things might melt together. I don't know how it's going to look, but we have to make that change, so it's not non-negotiable here. That's the one non-negotiable change. I also realized I forgot the shoelace and I forgot the 2 lines over here. So there's a few minor stuff that I forgot. And but yeah, that's all the feedback that I got for now. I told him that anytime he wants. Oh yeah, also the last thing is that this isn't flat. If you look at it in 3D, this is actually rounded and it has sparkles in there. So I think I will add some sparkles, and then I will also make it a little bit rounder. Yeah, actually in the original it's actually really flat because this thing glows. That's why it doesn't have any shadows on it. And maybe it's better for me to keep it that way. Anyways, we'll try. I'll work on this off stream. I think most likely on the weekends again. Because I think stream time, I just want to practice. I just want to chill for a bit. But anyways, that is all the updates in that regard. I'm drawing some shark tail here because I want to get set up for my just get a little bit more used to the shapes. Because the character I want to introduce will have a shark tail. I haven't fully figured out some of the design, like where all the fins are gonna go. So some of the things are gonna be wibbly, but I think those can only really be sorted out as we do more and more drawings over time. So I just need to finalize the sheet because I want the character design and everything to make sense, in the sense that everything needs to be supported by a reason. Like, of course, when you're designing a character, you don't really care. You just want a character that is of this personality, of this design. But then to make them really sort of fit into the world, I want to make everything make sense. So I want a sheet that is visually very logical, where on the surface they behave and act and have a certain personality, and then behind the scenes there's going to be a bunch of arrows that point to each of those physically visible features, and being like, hey, this is the reason why she is like this. And then for, you know, like it would just help a lot with the character building, I think. And then everything will tie back into the lore and stuff, and then it will be a little bit more comprehensive. And then you guys will get to see like maybe like 10% of that, because everything is gonna get redacted. It's gonna get redacted for 2 reasons. One reason was is that it might not 100% be very finalized. For the most part, I think it is, but it might not be. And then the other thing is that it's gonna all be very explicit. All the reasons are gonna be very explicit. I don't think it'll be very YouTube friendly. So that's why I'm gonna have to keep it under wraps for now. I think I challenged myself with this ref before, I just don't know how to do it. Anyways, I'll probably do one more sketch and then I want to touch some colors, I think. It's so much easier to just sketch because I don't have to think too hard. But if I can bring my color sort of studies up to this level, that would be great. And then we can bring a little bit more thought into it afterwards. And then we can slowly build up the confidence that way. Kind of like what I described for the value stuff. I want to try for the colors, basically. We'll just do it passively until things start to make sense. Like, if I already know what is wrong with what I'm seeing without having to look at the reference, that's when I know that, hey, oh, I have a good idea of what's happening now. And then that's when I know I can move on to the next stage. But until then, we just keep tackling colors or something. And I don't know where... I guess my face is really popped out here. It should be a little bit more recessed. But yeah, and then other than that, life goes on. Everything is continuing. I'm mostly copying shapes, honestly. I'm not really thinking too much about perspective and construction. So I don't think I can draw this without ref, but it is what it is. Too long. Where does it go? Oh, I see. It's actually further. I might try something in perspective after this because I learned something about perspective today in the office. Oh yeah, I cannot see the feet. What am I supposed to do with this? Target above ends. なるほど。Yeah, I think it's fine, right? Because that is what stabilizes for that. Arguably. Why not? What? Of course. Why can't the history be like art, like git commit or something? I can cherry pick. Oh my god. I don't have to undo everything. I just want to cherry pick the ones I want to undo. Sorry, the one I want to keep. Unbelievable. Okay, I'm about to get very distracted. What am I looking for? So, the target is gonna be offline. It's not gonna be from here anyways, right? Him. 何これ? The AI? What is that? Oh man, my Fontaine is over. Very sad. Ugh. She's up to you, right? Yeah, okay, you know what? Fine. Cancel it. We'll run the sequence accordingly. And target this way, in which case we're going to that is not my favorite. Actually, I do need to confirm it. Why did I sync up? Why not be synced up? Oh, okay, that's new. Lamar, is that helpful? 哪一个？搜寻我秀呀。Okay, I cannot read this. Never mind. That's fine. Okay, my own sequence, very cool. So key is different. Yeah, something that goes in. Kill the breast. Oh, so this is like. A bit too big, huh? I think really needs to do that. Okay. It's a what's that called? Genshin's Natlan. 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 I don't know what to call it. Isn't it just nata in Japanese or something? Which it doesn't even sound the same as the English version. We're currently 15 minutes and well 60 seconds in. It's now 16 minutes and 2 seconds. If you want it. The link is in the description. So I get the feeling I'm not doing any color studies today. Oh man. Oh yeah, she's got like big boobas too. Oh man. How would the booba work in this with this angle and gravity? Oh my god. Hang on a second. It's gonna go to the side. Oh, but if she's wearing clothing, right. Gonna be wearing clothing. Of course. She's gonna be dressed, of course. Why was that even a doubt? The job is this one. At the correct angle. Thereabouts. Okay. Oh, if I... Okay. I guess I just cannot do anything about that. Oh, right. Which way is it, actually? It's on the right side. Should I flip it then? I think I wrote the shark thing a while ago. Let me see. I don't have to write it again, I think. 03. This one. 에? 뭐랄까? 제가 버리다. 아웃삽은 actually, none of this matters. Wait, hang on. Where is it? This one's a good example, by the way, of how should I say this? When you have enough details, because my rendering didn't improve, right? From whatever that I have here. Like a lot of these things, like if you look at the hair shapes, the shapes on here, and so on and so forth, it's not really gotten any better since. I think it's it's at least been a year, I think, for this. But because there's enough design elements to go with, the double color on the hair, you have all these frills, the metallic bits, the straps, the textures here and there, it still looks fine. But in reality, it's all just yeah, it's kind of the same. So it's like, where's the stuff that I'm looking for, dude? Oh, this is it then. Let's see. There you go. I traced it, so I don't have to. I probably have to write that again. Actually, to be fair. Actually, you know what? That means I should grab this too. Very cool. Okay. I'll go right side just because I can show the text here. I did change her tail proportion a bit because I don't like the original, but I don't know if that will work here. I might have to keep that thickness in the middle here. Let me try it. Make a massive. I have a very particular taste when it comes to shark tails. Actually, it's kind of interesting. I think I think since the very long time ago, I've liked characters with shark tails, but it's never really been mainstream until ZZZ came along with Alan. So there's a very specific set of proportions that I do like about it, but Alan doesn't fall in that category. It is very thick though, holy shit. Like, imagine, like, I don't think you can physically stand properly with the tail straight up like this. It doesn't make any sense. It has just as much volume, well, it has more volume than the entire torso. And it's all muscle too, I think. Is that how tails, like shark, like fish work? But man, how is she standing up straight? Crazy, crazy, crazy. It's not even a problem of core strength anymore. This is just physics defying. Very cool. I'll give the people what they want. I think like this is the original sort of thickness. Maybe I'll go with the original thickness. I think, kind of. Anyways, so the text would be what? Where? The text would be here. The tricky bit, I have to rewrite this because it's there's distortion here. So I would probably have to change the perspective on the text as we write it. So I have to figure that out somehow. And then we have the angles, the arrows over here. This is gonna be black and white still, so I have to figure out how to get it done. Oh, maybe, you know what? It would be a sketch, that's for sure. But it doesn't have to be in the really rough way. Maybe you can try a slightly smoother one. Just because the themes are a little bit softer this time with the bed and the... Well, with just the bed, primarily. Did I? Oh no, that is... Wait, no, what? Wait, why did I run this line here? Not sure. I can feel the line, but I don't know why it's there. This is the other tricky bit, because his perspective is always gonna stack up here. I'll be drawing a lot of shark tails in the future, just because my own character does have a shark tail as well. You can change the proportion to the way I like it. How does this part work if it's like... Because it's just a big chomp, right? Then like I guess it would just be like that or something. Like a big physical chomp. Yeah, where's my... I don't get the off here. I don't like it. The shape doesn't feel very soft. I don't know if you guys get what I'm saying here. It is kind of big. It's kind of bigger than what it should be, maybe? Actually, not really, right? Because the legs are like this half of the canvas, and then the tail is this half. And the tail is actually longer than the legs. Ever so slightly. Right, but the proportion within the tail is kind of not right. Okay, I see. Right, a lot more minor adjustments I think I can make. Yeah, it's kind of funny. Oh my god. We're not even gonna be able to see her face probably because of this. But at the same time, it makes so much sense. It's also plays into the character so well. Because the tail is massive, and I think everyone thinks the tail is massive. And now it's so massive that it's taking up more than half the canvas. And I can't even see her face anymore. And she's just gonna be very annoyed over here. You know what? I should end up being my own character, I think, at this rate. With a lot of the setup. You know, where's my... Sorry, what? It's still front looking. This would be the sequence, right? She's facing down. Oh, wait a second. Oh no. Ah, shit, my stupid canvas is flipped. I was wondering why it doesn't work. What am I doing? What am I doing? Eyebrows too thick. I use each to check. I need physics on the hair. Okay, it's belly. Any hair. Fine. Wait a second. Oh, the face is too big. I see. Send the arm over here. No, it's not that. It's the shoulder width. Local desktop. Ah, yes, this sort of a quick alignment. Naniga? This is interfering. Need it longer. This is also interfering. left side. Counter. Yeah, it's on target. Left. Or is it up down? Oh. think I know why. Yes, yes. directionality doesn't work. I forgot. Protein. Oops. Chest. Hips. The belly will be here. Alright. This is kind of long, huh? Torso's kind of long, huh? Ugh. It's fine though. I don't really want to be fixing that. Oh, I see. That's why it doesn't look like her, because the eyes are different. I see, I see. If I just run the usual, like I run her usual sequence here, it should be fine then. Wait, hang on. Didn't I? Yeah, I did see this too. What? What's the difference then? Maybe I should just constrict it a little bit. Just to make it a little bit rounder, maybe? Proportion. Distance too wide slightly, perhaps? Still. It's not much there. Because it doesn't look like her to me, and that's a problem. But I think I'll just stop here. So for some reason we started a new sketch that is likely gonna take a while. Instead of touching colors again. But who knows, I might try to render the same piece in multiple different ways. I think it'll be interesting. We can do a simple sketch, then one of those one of these ones, right? Then we can try to do like a painting, sort of color rough. And then we can try to do something clean after that. It'll be interesting to go through all the different ways of doing it. There's bound to be something to be learned from there. I think like doing like something that's more painterly and then moving into something that's cleaner will probably make it a little bit easier to... Oh, right, but it will work because then we're separating the colors from the shapes. Okay, fine. Guess that makes sense too. But anyways, I think I will just hop up here. Oops. Thank you guys for joining. I will see you guys tomorrow for the continuation of this. Have a good night, guys. Good night, George.